Okay, so why waste any more time? Let's get right to Mr. I'm worth $150 or $200 million, depending. He let us know what he's really worried about and what he's not worried about in American society today. Ready?
I care about Americans. I'm not concerned about the very poor. We have a safety net there. If it needs a repair, I'll fix it. I'm not concerned about the very rich. They're doing just fine. I'm concerned about the very heart of America, the 95% of Americans who right now are struggling, and I'll continue to take that message across the nation.
All right. I know I said last question, but I got to ask you. You just said, I'm not concerned about the very poor because they have a safety net. And I think there are lots of very poor Americans who are struggling who would say, that sounds odd. Can you explain that?
Well, you had to finish the sentence, Soledad. I said, I'm not concerned about the very poor that have a safety net, but if it has holes in it, I will repair them.
Got it. Okay.
The challenge right now.
Okay, got it. But you're not worried about them.
He really took it to her, huh?
Wow, really? Hey, you got to finish the sentence there. I don't care about the poor, but for real.
Poor people are not Americans, I think is what he was saying.
Yeah. I don't care about people with stage 4 cancer. I'm concerned about people that just discover a lump.
That's who we really need to focus on. That's
people that are jumping to conclusions.
I don't know. Call me a cynic, but if I had a net to repair, he just doesn't seem like the guy to go to for a net repair, a safety net, or
there's nothing safe about him, really.
No, it seems. You know what it is? I think maybe he's like. Any fan of the circus knows it's more exciting without a net. That's probably... He seems like a guy that might come in and just decide that net repair isn't profitable.
It's well, how do you make money on net repair? That I think Mitt has confused the safety net with a swimming pool and a sweet ride. I think that's...
They've got everything.
The way he says safety net, he makes it sound like a bouncy house. It's not. They've got a safety net. What more could they want? You mean they want a safety net and a glimmer of hope that they won't spend their entire lives in poverty? Talk about greedy.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I'd like to hear a journalist say to him, give me 3 or 4 names of anybody you know that makes less than $50,000 a year.
Oh, my 3 maids. They both and my
together they make 50.
Anybody not employed by you that makes less than $50,000 a year.
Sure, the shoe shine guy down at this train station that I drive by.
Yeah, that would be a tough question for him, I imagine.
Come on, you guys, the poor do have it pretty good. You know the old saying, "Poverty is bliss." Isn't that the old saying, right? And when you've never had anything, you have no idea how much you're missing. All the poor need to be happy is a fistful of cheese and daytime judge shows. Now that's living, right? That's what Mitt's saying.
And you know what? And if the cheese or judge shows start to unravel, Mitt's the guy to fix it.
Oh, sure. He'll step right in with a hole for that safety net. That safety net of daytime judge shows and government cheese.
Mm-hmm. And that's what they can also do the safety dance.
I love the idea.
Isn't
YouTube it?
Isn't the plan then to let the people that are kind of poor become very poor, and then the safety net will catch them, so you really don't have to do anything?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why wouldn't you just try to make the middle class, you move them down to being very poor?
Right.
No worries.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to worry about them anymore.
Yeah.
Sure. That's literally what he's saying. He's saying, I don't worry about the very poor because they're doing great. Because you know who makes out during a depression?
The very poor.
The very poor. They make out like bandits. They've been doing since 2007, 2008. The very poor have really. I don't know. I went down at the homeless shelter. They have silk pillows. That's how well they're doing down there. Yeah. They have electric can openers for their dog food. That's how well that they're doing.
I think Romney is hoping that the very poor will be too weak to vote.
But you know who isn't doing very well? You know who really needs our help? It's the people who are a couple of notches on the economic ladder above the very poor. They're hurting. What we need to do is
you and me.
Yes, me and you. So I think what would help us is if they took away some of our money, so then we could be considered very poor, and then we'd be skating along very nicely. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like a hammock.
At least.
It's just like living in a hammock.
Yeah,
that safety net.
It looks like a safety net, but it's swinging back and forth.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those social safety nets behind a dumpster on Hollywood Boulevard. Those guys sleeping in them. Really nice. You know, at least the reporter pushed back a teensy bit before letting him just, again, spew that BS that the poor are doing swimmingly. Yeah. Right now, the poor, we all know that the poor is doing great.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the poor, the people who are really taking it on the chin.
It's a boom industry right now. You want to get in early.
I saw a guy in line for unemployment, and he was peering at the paperwork through a monocle.
Oh, yes. That is.
You know, it's not really a safety net. It's more of a filthy blanket. You know, just to be accurate about it. If you've ever seen those poor people sitting by the bus with they're not really trying to catch the bus. They're waiting to die.
Steve, with that uplifting comedy of Steve Rosenfield, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, I painted a picture there.
I got it. I love it.
You're welcome.
Theater of the mind.
So the whole thing was, and the reason why Mitt Romney is going to be not ours, but the Republican nominee, is because inside the Republican Party, they've been saying things like, well, we can't have Newt Gingrich be our nominee, because if it's Newt Gingrich, then the whole race is going to be about Newt Gingrich, and we need to make this about Barack Obama.
Right.
So if Mitt Romney's our nominee, somehow then it's going to be about, because he doesn't have 3 wives and all that stuff, and he didn't work for Fannie Mae. But he said stuff like this all the time.
Yeah, he's making the first George Bush look like a social worker. You know,
yes,
and he's making the second Bush look articulate.